Welcome to Scrum Masters Elite_UK. If you enjoy in-depth sports insights, be sure to subscribe to the channel.
From the accounts of Tindall and Jonny, I feel that rugby is not simply a sport that demands physical strength. It is also a place that tests willpower, courage, and each person's ability to accept hardship. When Tindall said that just thinking about a week of playing South Africa is enough to prepare mentally for the pain, I do not see that as a complaint. On the contrary, I see it as an honest acknowledgement of the harshness of the sport he devoted his youth to. This makes me think a lot. In life, we often hope that every challenge becomes easier. We prefer paths with fewer obstacles, smooth jobs, and quick success. But elite sport shows a completely different truth. The strongest opponents do not appear to make you desperate, but to force you to grow. If a team only keeps facing weaker opponents, it would likely struggle to understand where its true limits lie. South Africa is currently regarded as one of the strongest rugby teams in the world. Their consecutive World Cup victories and top ranking are not the result of luck.
Behind them must be many years of building a training system, appropriate tactics, strict training discipline, and a very strong sense of unity. Looking at that success, I think what is worth learning is not simple admiration, but the way a collective can maintain such a high level over a long period through continuous effort. On the other hand, the England team is going through a less favourable period with a series of consecutive defeats. In sport, this can easily disappoint fans. However, I believe a team's value is not measured only by the number of wins. More important is how they respond to failure. Failure may temporarily weaken confidence, but it can also become the foundation for rebuilding strength if the whole team has enough courage to face its weaknesses directly. I especially like the way Jonny described South Africa. He does not only say they are strong, but also analyzes what it truly feels like to play against them. It is a feeling of constant pressure, limited time on the ball, little space to execute tactics, and continuous physical confrontations.
From these descriptions, I understand that the difference of a great team is not only in technique, but also in the ability to prevent opponents from playing at the usual level. This makes me think of many areas in life. A talented person does not necessarily show excellence through flashy things. Sometimes, true ability is shown by creating pressure that forces others to change their thinking, their working methods, or their ability to adapt. In education, work, or scientific research, it is the same. Big challenges always force people to improve if they want to move forward. I also notice something very admirable. Both Tindall and May never use disrespectful language toward their opponents. Even though they have had wins and losses against South Africa, they still choose to evaluate them objectively. In my view, this is a beautiful quality in sport. A truly great athlete does not need to put others down to elevate themselves. They understand that their own progress is always connected to the quality of their opponents.
As someone who follows sport, I think fans should also learn to view matches more positively. Instead of focusing only on the final result, we should observe how teams prepare, how they adjust tactics, how each player overcomes pressure, and how they behave after victory or defeat. These are the things that fully reflect the value of sport. I also realize that matches like England versus South Africa attract attention not only because of technical quality but also because of the spiritual values they bring. When two strong teams face each other, fans witness careful preparation, discipline, sacrifice for the collective, and a desire to give everything. These are values that can inspire beyond the stadium. If England achieves a positive result, it will be proof that persistence can always create surprises. If South Africa continues to win, it will also reflect the value of stability and long-term development. Whatever the outcome, I believe both teams will deliver a highly competitive and committed match. For myself, the biggest lesson I draw is not to fear difficult challenges.
In life, there will always be South Africa teams for each of us. This could be a difficult exam, a high-pressure project, a new job, or a goal that seems beyond our current ability. If we give up just because the opponent is too strong, we will never know how far we can go. On the other hand, if we prepare seriously, maintain a learning mindset, and are willing to face pressure, every challenge can become an opportunity to grow. For fans, I think the most important thing is to support in a civilized way. Sport should not become a place that fosters hatred or hostility between fan communities. Each team represents the great effort of athletes, coaching staff, and the entire development system behind them. Respecting opponents is also a way of respecting the value of sport. Despite differences in nationality, culture, or history, teams meet on the field under common principles: fair play, respect for the rules, and full commitment. This is proof that competition does not necessarily lead to negative confrontation. People can compete in order to grow together, raise standards, and create positive value for the community.
After reflecting on the comments of former England players, I am even more convinced that sport is not just a race for victory. It is also a journey of exploring one's limits, learning to respect opponents, accepting defeat with a growth mindset, and continuously improving oneself. Perhaps this is why major matches leave such a lasting impression on fans. Not only because of the score on the board, but because of the lessons about resilience, humility, teamwork, and ambition they convey. These values are meaningful not only in sport, but can also become a source of inspiration for each person to live more positively, more responsibly, and more persistently on their own journey.
Scrum Masters Elite _UK, goodbye. Rugby teaches us resilience, discipline, and how to overcome challenges every day. See you again.